Today, I will tell you briefly about the history of coinage of the Roman Republic, with emphasis on the silver coins, and how the different denominations in the monetary system relates to each other, and how they are distinguished from one another. I will also tell you how the minting was organized, and finally, I will give several exciting examples of how the coins were used as carriers of propaganda of a political, religious, and military nature. I also take the opportunity to thank the auction company, Roman Numismatics in London, for all the high-quality pictures I use in the video. The first Roman silver coins were made according to Greek standards, and minted in a weight of 2 Greek drachmas, about 7.25 grams. Probably, they were also minted at the Roman Mint, in the city of Capua, in Campania, or as JPC Kent writes, struck under contract with Rome. The choice of design, and the artistic execution, are Greek. Probably, it was Greek engravers who produced the dies. The Romans had no previous experience of this type of work, and we also know that Greek artists and craftsmen were in many ways role models for the Romans. On the obverse of the very first Roman silver coin, a didrachma, or 2 drachmas, the war god Mars' bearded portrait, wearing a Corinthian helmet, is depicted. On the reverse, is a horse's head depicted, and below, the word Romano. The obverse design is a direct copy of the coins from the Greek city of Metapontium, located in Lucania in southern Italy. The choice of reverse design also has very great similarities with the Carthaginian coins. The first silver coinage coincides with the war of 282 to 275 BC, in southern Italy, where the Roman army was facing Pyrrhus of Epirus. The need for minted silver, to put the Roman army on its feet was great. It can be said that the first Roman silver coins were in all respects Greek. The coins are entirely Greek in appearance, and they were minted in a weight that followed the Greek standard. The only thing that distinguishes this coin from the Greek coinage is the name Romano, which tells us that the coin is minted by the Romans. Unlike the cast asses, there was no denomination on the silver coins. The primary area for circulation of silver coins was the Greek-populated areas in southern Italy. They were thus used for foreign trade, and also to pay mercenaries. The main coin was still the aparatous, and on this, all domestic trade and value measurement was based. A number of different types of didrachmas of Greek character, with the text Romano, were minted until the end of the First Punic War 264 to 241 BC. After the war, other types of didrachmas was also minted, all of them with a strong Greek character, but these had the inscription, Roma. Copper coins, also, according to Greek standards, were minted in parallel with the silver coins, in denominations of double and single litras. Like the didrachmas, they were entirely intended for circulation outside Rome itself. A few years before the Second Punic War, that took place in 218 to 202 BC, the first didrachma, with a typical lone Roman style was introduced. On the obverse, the beardless Roman god Janus is depicted. On the reverse, a Roman chariot with 4 horses, a so-called quadriga, is depicted, driven by the gods Jupiter and Victory. The reverse design probably symbolizes Rome's victorious army, or at least, this is how they wanted to be seen. The new, typical Roman style, is also most likely a way for the Roman Republic to communicate that they are strong enough, and don't need to hide behind the Greeks. This is the new Roman way. We must not forget that coins were perhaps the most important propaganda medium in the ancient world. They conveyed information to their own population and the surrounding neighboring states through motives and choices of design. The new Roman didrachma was commonly called quadrigatus, after the reverse design. The first Roman gold coin was issued about 216 BC, in 2 denominations, 1 stater and half stater, and represents one of the most desperate moments in all of Roman history. The Second Punic War was waged at an unthinkable cost to Rome, in terms of men, material and money. For nearly 15 years, the conflict was fought on Italian soil, bringing devastation to the peninsula, on a scale it had never before endured. Yet, the greatest shocks came in the opening phase of the war, Hannibal's crossing of the Alps into the Po Plain, considered to be one of the greatest achievements in military logistics, and the devastating defeats he inflicted on the Roman legions, in a quick sequence of major battles, which brought Rome to her very knees. In addition to the wholesale destruction of Rome's armies, the most crucial damage inflicted by Hannibal's invasion of Italy was the total collapse of Rome's young monetary system. At that time, the Roman currency was based entirely on bronze, for which the demand in wartime was competing with the needs for weaponry. The weights of the bronze currency were radically decreased, and it therefore became necessary to make bronze convertible to silver, which, however, was also in short supply. The strain on the Roman treasury was extreme. The decision was therefore taken in about 216 BC, to issue a gold coinage, as an attempt to provide further stability for, and increase faith in the bronze coinage, by creating the impression that bronze could be freely exchanged for gold. The oath seen, on the reverse, was a clear propaganda message, and was evidently given some consideration. Its design reflected the strength through cooperation that the Roman state sought to emphasize at the time of its production. Two warriors, one Roman and the other representing the Italian allies, standing facing each other, holding spears and touching with their swords a sacrificial pig held by a youth kneeling left between them. That the unity of Rome, and her allies, was a very big issue in 216 BC, is clear from the defections that followed the disastrous Battle of Cannae in that very year. Around the year 211 BC, while the Second Punic War was in full swing, the Roman monetary system was reformed. A brand new silver coin was introduced, the denarius, as the coin was called, with a weight of about 4.5 grams. The denarius became the new anchor in the monetary system. At the same time, copper coins lost in importance. One denarius corresponded in value to 10 copper asses. For the first time, a value was written on the coin. The value of 10 asses, stated by the Roman number x. Fractions of the denarius was also minted. The quinarius, which was a half denarius, was marked with the value of 5 asses. Also a silver sestertius was struck with the value of a quarter denarius. The sestertius was marked with the number 2 and letter S. The letter S stands for semis, which corresponds to a half-ass. All copper coins described here, and onwards, are struck, and are issued after 211 BC. The ass, which is the highest denomination among the copper coins, depicts on the obverse, the two-headed Roman god Janus, where one half is facing the past and the other is turned towards the future. Janus has no equivalent in the Greek god world. The Romans, who happily copied everything Greek, had thus invented their own god. Above Janus' head, a Roman number 1 is marked, which denotes the denomination of one ass. Semis, on the obverse, is the next denomination in the value of 4 bullets imprinted above the ass. On the reverse means exactly half, galley with and Roma the value above, of the coin is marked with the letter S with 4 bullets below. On the obverse, the image of some god is depicted, in this case, Saturn, and on the reverse, like the ass, a prow of a galley. The denomination S is imprinted on both sides of the coin. The next denomination in the series is treans, or 4 unciae. Treans is Latin for a third. The value is imprinted on the coin with 4 bullets, 4 unciae. On the obverse, Minerva wearing helmet, with value of 4 bullets imprinted above the head. On the reverse, a prow of galley with Roma above, and mark of value with 4 bullets below. The quadrans, or 3 unciae, make up a quarter of the ass, and have 3 bullets, as value imprinted on the coin. On the obverse, head of Hercules, wearing lion skin, 3 bullets imprinted as the mark of value behind the head. On the reverse, prow of galley with mark of value below, and Rome above. The next denomination in the series is sextans, the sixth of the ass, or 2 uncie. The coin has 2 bullets as value imprinted on both sides. On the obverse, head of Mercury, with 2 bullets as mark of value above. On the reverse, prow of galley with Roma above, and mark of value below. And finally, the smallest denomination in the series, a 12th of the ass, or uncia. The coin has only 1 bullet on each side as a mark of value imprinted. On the obverse, head of Roma turn right, with 1 bullet as mark of value behind. On the reverse, prow of galley, with Roma above, and mark of value imprinted below. Shortly after the introduction of the denarius, a new type of gold coin was minted, which is another sign of Rome's strained financial situation. These gold coins were however integrated into the domestic Roman monetary system, unlike the gold staters that were minted about 10 years earlier. Like the silver denarius, the gold coins also had the value imprinted on the obverse. The gold coins were minted in 3 different denominations, namely 60, 40 and 20 asses. On the obverse, the war god Mars is depicted and the denomination is shown behind his neck. The 3 different denominations, all with the same design, but with different weights and diameters. The denominations, 60, 40, and 20 asses, is imprinted on the obverse of the coin. On the reverse, we find a very interesting design, an Egyptian-looking eagle, standing above a thunderbolt, and under this the name Rome. R. Meadows convincingly argues that the influx of gold after the decision of 216 BC, most likely came from the Ptolemaic kingdom in response to a direct appeal for help, and that the reverse type of eagle on thunderbolt, so clearly similar to the Ptolemaic coinage, was the tacit acknowledgement of the financial aid that was received by Rome. It is easy to see the obvious resemblance between the Egyptian design of this tetradrachmas minted during Ptolemy I, and the Roman gold asses. Obviously, from the coin design, we can deduce that the relationship between Egypt and Rome was better than the relationship between Egypt and Carthage at this time. At this time, the value ratio between gold and silver was 1:9, between silver and copper, 1:120, and, between gold and copper, 1:1000. The lowest gold coin denomination, 20 asses, weighed 1.1 grams, which corresponded to about 1,100 grams of copper. A copper ass, according to this relation, weighed about 55 grams. By this time, the ass's weight had decreased to 1/6 of the weight it had at most, about 327 grams about 80 years earlier. The didrachma, which ceased to be produced when the denarius was introduced, was now replaced by a new and lighter silver coin. Victoriatus, as the coin came to be called, after the design, was issued in a large number of coins, to the weight of 1 drachma, or about 3.4 grams. The victoriatus, as the previous didrachma, and unlike the denarius, and the asses, was struck without a specified denomination. It was obviously intended for recipients who had not accepted Rome's new monetary domestic system, with the denarius as the anchor. The victoriatus was used for the same purpose as the previous didrachmas, for trade with states outside Rome, and for salaries for mercenary troops. These were already used to the Greek coins. On the obverse of the coin, Jupiter is depicted wearing a laurel wreath. On the reverse, the goddess of victory, Victoria, is depicted, standing next to a victory trophy, and the name, Roma, below. Further, while denarii were produced from nearly pure silver, victoriati were made from debased silver, of about 70% purity. These small silver coins were minted only for a short time. The minting ceased about 10 years after the end of the war with Carthage. The ass copper coin is further reduced in weight a few years after the introduction of the denarius. The ass is decreased to 1/12 of its original weight, to about 27 grams. The ass continued to decrease in value against the denarius. Around 141 BC, the denarius was worth 16 asses, compared to the previous 10 asses. The denarius denomination was also changed, from 10 to 16. Copper coins constantly diminished in importance, which was of course reflected in the continued decreased weight. The denarius had completely taken over as a measure of value and means of payment. Whether the copper coins were minted to full statutory weight or not was of secondary importance. In 92 BC, a new monetary legislation was introduced, with a statutory minimum weight for the copper ass of approximately 13.5 grams. This new law, Lex Papiria, was only a confirmation of the informal weight loss that the ass had already experienced. After 82 BC, the copper coinage ceased altogether, with the exception of a commemorative issue under Julius Caesar. The copper coinage was discontinued for about 60 years, and resumed on a regular basis again from the year 23 BC, under the reign of Emperor Augustus. I will now go back one step in time, and review the administrative part of the coinage. At first, the Roman coinage of denarii was anonymous, and only the name Roma was written on the coins. However, around 150 BC, an office was set up to be responsible for the production of the coins. On the reverse, on the first denarius the Dioscuri is depicted. The name is derived from the Greek Dioskuroi, which translates to sons of Zeus. Castor and Pollux, the sons of Zeus, were twin deities who helped shipwrecked sailors and received sacrifices for favorable winds. The Roman Senate appointed 3 officials who would be jointly responsible for the coinage, and consisted without exception of rich and influential people. During the Roman Republic, these 3 mint magistrates were called Tresviri, Argento, Oro, Flando, Fieri Undo, literally 3 men for casting and striking bronze, silver, and gold coins. This was a board of the College of the Vigintivri, or Board of 20, later briefly the Board of 26, Vigin-di-Sexviri. The title was abbreviated 3 V I R A A A F F, or even 3 V I R APF Tresviri ad pecuniam theriundam, on the coinage itself. These men were collectively known as the Tresviri Monetales. In English, they are most correctly called mint magistrates, since moneyers may imply that they actually struck the coins themselves. These magistrates were responsible for the production of the Roman coinage. They were not simple mint workers, but rather they were officials who controlled the process, including the design on the coins themselves, as I will later describe and exemplify. Most of the issues bear only one magistrate name at a time. In some cases 2, or all 3 names are abbreviated on the coins. Membership in the Vigin-di-Sexvirit was for most of them the first step on the cursus honorum. The age when the post could be held appears to have been approximately 30. The extensive output of silver coins that took place under the control of the magistrates, of course, required control and transparency of the Senate and the people. The fact that the magistrates behaved and did not cheat with purity or weight was of the utmost importance for the confidence that the magistrates were under the control of the Senate, we can point out from the inscriptions found on the coins. The most common are XSC or SC, ex senatus consulto, equals with the authority of the Senate. Or, on a few issues, we can read DPP, de publica, pecunia, which translates to public money. Also, more rarely, we can read DSS, de senatus sententia, equals accordingly to the will of the Senate. Furthermore, as a statement for the public trust, we can read on some issues, ARG, PVB, argentum publicum, which translates into public silver. Some of these special issues have the inscription CVR X FL, which is the abbreviation for curator, denariorum, flandorum, meaning curator of the casting of denarii. Above the bearded head on the obverse of the denarius are the letters GPR, which is the abbreviation for Genius Populi Romani, which translates into Genius of the Roman People. On some of the denarii, we find the letters AED, CVR, which is the abbreviation for Aedilus Curator, where Aedilus was an elected office of the Roman Republic. In some cases, the denarii is marked with the letter Q, where Q is the abbreviation for questor. On this denarius, from magistrate in Spain, L. Fabius L. F. Hispaniensis, the letter Q is above the quadriga. On some issues, we can read the letter P, or PR, which is the abbreviation for praetor, which is also an office in the Roman Republic, as well as the aedile, and questor. On the obverse, on this aureus, the draped bust of Sibyl is depicted, as well as the names of the magistrates, C. Norbanus and L. Cestius. In front of Sibyl's head we can read PR for praetor. On the reverse, Sibyl is enthroned in a biga, with two lions in front. This coin was struck under the authority of the two magistrates, who was elected praetors in the Roman Republic. Like most gold issues of the Roman Republic, this aureus was an exceptional emergency issue, authorized by the Senate, in order to provide funds to counter Mark Antony's siege of Messina, in northern Italy in 43 BC. I will now exemplify with a few denarii, where it is clear that the magistrates' control of the legend and design of the coins gave them the possibility to display propagandistic or political messages. This served as self-advertisement to further their political careers, of the magistrates themselves, their families, or that of their patrons. Through increased insight into the context of the coins become veritable time machines that tell exciting stories about the ancient world. Magistrate M.N. Aquilius issued this denarius in 65 BC. On the obverse, Virtues is depicted, and on the reverse, the consul man, Aquilius, is standing left, raising a prostrate Cecilia before him, and holding a shield. Below in the exergue the name of the province Sicily, for Sicily is written. This coin recalls the virtue of the magistrate's grandfather, Manius Aquilius, who diligently quelled the slave revolt in Sicily in 104 to 101 BC, that had defied 3 earlier governors. The reverse depicts his grandfather holding a subdued slave. Also, this tells us that there had been other slave revolts prior to Spartacus, and that the Roman society rested on a foundation of slaves. This coin was sold in 2022, at Roman Numismatics auction in London, for £160. The Jugurthine War, in 112 to 106 BC, was an armed conflict between the Roman Republic and King Jugurtha of Numidia, a kingdom on the North African coast, approximating to modern Algeria. Jugurtha was the nephew and adopted son of Micipsa, king of Numidia, whom he succeeded on the throne, overcoming his rivals through assassination, war, and bribery. The war constituted an important phase in the Roman subjugation of northern Africa, but Numidia did not become a Roman province until 46 BC. Following Jugurtha's usurpation of the throne of Numidia, a loyal ally of Rome, since the Punic Wars, Rome felt compelled to intervene. Finally, Jugurtha was defeated through treachery, and his remaining followers were massacred, and he himself handed over in chains to Sulla by Bocchus. Bocchus then annexed the western part of Jugurtha's kingdom, and was made a friend of the Roman people. On these two different denarii, issued in 56 BC, by the magistrate, Faustus Cornelius Sulla, we can see the triumphal scene from the victory in the Jugurthine War. Faustus was the only surviving son of the dictator of Rome, Lucius Cornelius Sulla. This coin was sold in 2019, at Roman Numismatics auction in London, for £1,100. On this last example, I will give you the end of the Hellenistic state of Macedonia, which ended along with the Third Macedonian War, in 168 BC. This was accomplished when the magistrate's ancestor, the consul Lucius Aemilius Pallas, defeated King Perseus of Macedonia at Pydna. Prior to Aemilius Pallas' arrival on the scene, Only Perseus' persistent lack of military intelligence prevented a total rout of the Roman legions, as the prior consuls were inept and totally unworthy of the task. Aemilius Pallas, however, was an experienced commander, having seen service in the Hannibalic Wars. After Macedonia's defeat, Pallas conquered Epirus, laying waste numerous towns, and taking as many as 150,000 prisoners, to supply Rome's slave markets. For his magnificent conquests, the Senate awarded him the title Macedonicus, along with a splendid triumph. On this denarius, issued in 62 BC, by the magistrate, L. Aemilius Lepidus Pallas, the conquest of Macedon is celebrated. On the obverse, the diademed and veiled head of Concordia is depicted, and on the reverse, the consul L. Aemilius Pallas, dressed in the senatorial toga, is erecting a trophy, and to the left, the Macedonian king Perseus, and his two sons is standing. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do, please like, share, comment and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for listening and watching.